And we begin this morning somewhere in the Mediterranean Sea. That's where an aid flotilla is sailing en route to Gaza in hopes of breaking the Israeli siege. The ship, known as the Madeleine, named after a Palestinian fisherwoman, is chock full of assistance, and it left a port in Italy on Sunday to begin the 10-day journey to the war-battered enclave. Aboard are a number of human rights activists, including Greta Thunberg and actor Liam Cunningham, who played a pretty accomplished sailor on Game of Thrones. Also on board the Madeleine are a number of journalists and one French member of the European Parliament. The voyage is sponsored by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, and it's the second time the group has attempted such a mission. The first ship, known as the Conscience, set sail for Gaza last month, but was forced to turn around after it was damaged by drone strikes, likely carried out by the Israeli government. Now, obviously, the aid aboard the Madeleine is a drop in the ocean of what Gaza needs. But the mission isn't just symbolic. If it can reach Gaza, it could establish a new corridor for other ships carrying food to reach starving Palestinians. Israel has blocked all international aid trucks from entering the Strip, creating a starvation crisis that's touched nearly every single one of the 2 million plus people living there. And twice over the last 3 days, Palestinians have been massacred at food distribution sites set up by the US and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a group that's been condemned all around the world for weaponizing aid delivery. Mondoweiss reported on what happened Sunday at a site in Rafah. Quote, as throngs of people waited outside the aid site in the early morning hours, waiting for the instructions of the American employees, eyewitnesses described an Israeli quadcopter drone hovering overhead and ordering them via loudspeaker to enter the fenced delivery site at 6 a.m. After hundreds of people had entered, soldiers opened fire on the crowd, killing 31 people and wounding 200 others with live ammunition. One survivor, Abu Libdeh, told Mondoweiss, quote, the Americans and Israelis set a huge trap for us to lure us here and kill us by the dozens. We don't want America's help. We want to stop the war and stop the hunger. And then another 27 Palestinians were killed Tuesday at a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation site in southern Rafah. The United Nations has called for an independent investigation into the shooting of aid seekers in Gaza. The Israeli military also spent the weekend blowing up residential towers, 70 of them in just 48 hours in Gaza, according to reports. The continued support for the genocide is fraying American society now. On Sunday, a man in Boulder, Colorado, allegedly attacked a demonstration of people who were marching in support of Israeli hostages. The suspect, identified by police as Mohammed Sabri Solomon, used a makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktails to injure 8 people before he was arrested himself. According to eyewitnesses, he was shouting, "Free Palestine." Over a year ago, it was Aaron Bushnell who set himself on fire to protest the genocide in Gaza. Now Americans are setting each other on fire. And last month, 2 aides at the Israeli embassy were shot dead in Washington, D.C. The alleged gunman there, Elias Rodriguez, was also motivated by the events in Gaza, according to a manifesto he released that also read, "Free Palestine." That shooting and the attack in Colorado are being labeled in the media and by U.S. and Israeli officials as violent acts of anti-Semitism. That's a way for supporters of the genocide in Gaza to distract from the blowback it's causing in the U.S. and to delegitimize future dissent against Israel as anti-Semitic. For now, evidence shows that both attacks weren't motivated by a hatred of Jews, but instead a hatred of a government in Israel carrying out a genocide. Reporter Ken Klippenstein interviewed contacts of the alleged DC shooter and found that he doesn't have a history of writing or saying anything anti-Semitic. And it's still early to ascertain if there were any anti-Semitic motivations behind the Colorado attacker, but authorities say Solomon confessed and told them that he wanted to kill Zionists. Not Jews, but Zionists. It's a reference to an ideology that exists beyond Judaism that fuels the extremism within Israeli society. And particularly in America, there's a large Christian Zionist constituency composed of people like Mike Huckabee, who's now the U.S. ambassador to Israel. So, to the extent that the Jewish diaspora in the U.S. and around the world does feel less safe as a result of incidents like these, well, it's precisely because of what the Israeli state is perpetuating in the name of Judaism. And any condemnation of anti-Semitism must be paired with an understanding of what's actually inflaming it right now. It's not anti-genocide protests on college campuses around the US, but the actual genocide being perpetrated in Gaza. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our new videos. Also, if you want to see Means Morning News in its complete form, not just the clips we post here, head on over to Means TV and get access to all our new episodes and our entire backlog, plus tons of other great movies and original TV shows.